Hi, science teachers. Welcome to Science Teacher Summer School, Episode 7. I'm Kent Louie, and something you may not know about me is that for my first teaching contract, I taught Physics 11. I taught Planning 10, which is like Consumer Education or Career Science 10 or something like that, ESL Social Studies, and ESL English, and Science 8. That was my dog's breakfast of a schedule. Now, let's get to work. Have you ever assigned a project that used some sort of technology? For example, PowerPoint or Prezi, Lego Mindstorms, or maybe even 3D printing? Sent students to work on it and then get back something that's complete garbage? Perhaps students spent a bunch of time putting together the bells and whistles of their project, making it look cool, but didn't actually spend enough time fulfilling the core learning objectives. My wife and I call this polishing a turd. Like when a student puts in a whole bunch of dance music and animation and graphics into their PowerPoint, which was really just a cut and paste job of a Wikipedia page. This is the one mistake a lot of students and teachers make. We're so enamored by the tech that the project uses that we end up making the whole project about the tech, when in fact the tech is only supposed to be the means through which students demonstrate their learning. So how do we make sure projects that use tech don't end up being all about the tech? What I do is I get students to focus on the process as opposed to their final product. I literally give more marks in a project for students to document their process and their thinking than for the final product itself. This is how it needs to be for my students to value the process over the product, by assigning a proportionate amount of marks to it. This is no different from writing drafts for an essay. But imagine in an essay, instead of your mark being determined by the final draft of that essay, your mark represents what you've learned on your way to producing that final draft. For example, I used to use one of these, a 3D printer, in my science class to build models and parts for a bridge project. But the problem with 3D printing is that everyone just wants to print something cool. And that's what it ends up becoming if we don't put constraints on it. Kids just want to print cool stuff like this, or like that, or like this. They just want to print cool stuff off the internet. And they want to slap together something real quickly just to get it printed off. What I did for this project is that I made it mandatory for students to hand in detailed sketches of what they were going to print off before they printed it. Then we had to sit down and discuss their design. And this is where I question what they've designed and what they've produced so far. Then I get students to redo their designs, to incorporate any feedback I gave them. This may happen 2 or 3 times. Then after we've gone through their work a few times, I then allow them to 3D print. By this time, I've been able to see all they've learned through our discussions. And the final printed piece may be just a nice capstone to the project. If this were a project worth 40 marks, I may give 10 marks each to the 3 rounds of discussion, and then give a final 10 marks for the final printed object. This way, students can see that the project really isn't about the tech, and it is really about the process of design. And if you think about it, this could be applied to PowerPoint presentations as well. Instead of having students just make up some slides and present, make it mandatory for groups to sit down and discuss the contents of their presentation before they present. This way, students won't just be polishing turds. That's all the time we have for this episode. Please leave your questions in the comments section below. Join me next time when I'll be talking about why we need to turn our students into geeks in our classroom. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching. And remember to science everywhere, every day.